is up guys, welcome back to another deck profile. Today we're going to be doing an interesting Krawler deck here mixed in with Prediction Princess. I believe this deck actually makes it a bit more efficient, so not necessarily consistent, not necessarily fast or anything like that, but efficient. And I think efficiency definitely works really well because obviously this is where we want all of our effects to actually go off as soon as possible. Now don't confuse this for speed, don't confuse this for consistency. It's a bit different because we actually do have control here, whereas if you actually make a deck that's fast, you're not necessarily always going to be in control. So let's just get on with this deck profile, and that way I could actually explain what my reasoning is behind this. So for monsters, we're going to be playing 2 Deus Ex Krawler. Deus Ex Krawler is probably going to be one of the greater cards to actually bring out in this particular deck here. Works incredibly well because obviously it is a level 9, so easily you could tribute this right away so that you could actually go for your Prediction Princess Tarot Tray. We're also playing 3 copies of Spine. I've made it clear in previous deck profiles that this card is staple, it's essential for the deck, and you shouldn't play any less. This time we're playing 2 copies here of Receptor. Receptor is not as good as it once was in the previous deck profiles, so in this particular variant I'm able to drop it a bit just because Prediction Princess Tarot Tray actually allows you to trigger off your effects more efficiently. So rather than relying on numbers and actually going for the consistency to get the cards we need, but also kind of bricking our decks to a certain degree, without having to draw into multiple copies of this and ruining our hand, it's better to just have different cards and utilize Prediction Princess Tarot Tray's effect to actually just flip this up and use him. So I think 2 copies is definitely all we need here. Of course, we can't forget about 3 copies of Guile. Guile is just as much a staple as it is Spine, so definitely 3 copies of Guile. It is quite important indeed for the deck. We're also playing 2 copies of Ranvier. This might be a bit of a surprise for you guys, but Ranvier is definitely becoming the MVP of the deck. It's really good because now that I'm actually decreasing the number of crawlers in the deck, Ranvier is again becoming good, able to recuperate the cards that you've already lost. And to round out the last of our crawler monsters, they're one-obs. We're playing the Krawler Axon and we're also playing the Dendrite as well. Dendrite will just ditch to the graveyard, but the 1300 beat stick actually does help out. The Axon on the other hand, I still keep it in the deck just because I want to have at least one of everything, but in times of need it can actually destroy a spell trap your opponent has, particularly a field spell. We can't forget about 2 copies here of World Armor. World Armor is again one of those cards that's just really starting to become more popular. A lot of people are actually playing it generically as well in different decks just because of how easy it actually is to summon, even in decks that don't focus on flip summoning, just decks where you actually set something down and then you flip summon it. So you don't even have to play it in a flip deck technically, but obviously this card would be the best utilized in this particular crawler deck, or rather any other flip deck out there. But yeah, definitely a really good card, and 2 copies is definitely not too much. However, the main card for today we're playing is Prediction Princess Tarot Tray. Tarot Tray is an incredible card. It is a level 9, so when you ritual summon for her, you can easily just get rid of your Deus Ex Krawler and she comes out, but during the end phase she could basically just summon anything from the graveyard, making her effect very viable and keeping yourself refreshed with plenty of monsters on the field, but also being able to just control the field by flipping up and down any of your monsters whenever you want is an incredibly powerful effect, and it could also flip your opponent's monsters as well, so keep in mind it's not that weak. Onto the spells, we're just going to go with these ones right away, but 2 copies of Prediction Ritual and 2 copies of Pre-Prep. Pre-Prep will search for your Prediction Ritual and your Tarot Tray together, and obviously Prediction Ritual is our main ritual spell card, which is absolutely amazing, allowing us to obviously summon out our monster Prediction Princess Tarot Tray. Its graveyard effect is essentially you banish it and you search for your tarot tray. So both cards really good. 2 copies is more than enough, and you should be fine there as well. Those are the new additions to the deck, so let's go on with the more better known or the more acknowledged cards. Alright, so obviously we're playing 3 copies here of World Legacy Survivor. Still the greatest card for excavating and searching what we actually need, and it's still viable. Yes, you might actually get into your Prediction Princess cards and you don't want to lose them, but I think it's worth the risk. So play 3 of them still. I'm not going to be decreasing it anytime soon. However, what I did decrease is the World Legacy in Shadow. I'm only playing 2 copies now, and I'm going back to, well, I'm still playing the Terraforming. I'm just going back from 3 to 2, because in this particular variant you're not focusing on getting out your crawlers really fast or anything like that, or you're not focusing on consistency. This will maintain that efficient manner by decreasing the number of additional cards in your hand to end up bricking yourself, and yeah, just going with that instead. It's a better strategy for this particular variant. Moving on, we're playing 2 copies here of the Worm Bait. Still a really good card. I don't see myself increasing it. 3 is just a way overkill, and going at 1 is just barely enough to get by, but 2 is just a really good number to keep it at. We're also playing the Caught by the Grave and the Mind Control, definitely really amazing cards. And to end things off for spells, we're playing the One Day of Peace. Again, it's one of those cards that will save you. You could actually take this out and put in a Monster Reborn instead and then see how you go, but for the time being, I like having that extra turn of safety, as well as being able to draw into an additional card as well. Given that we're going for efficiency here, we do have some turns where we take really big risks, where we make no plays at all, so having a One Day of Peace would definitely help things out here. On to traps. This should be very familiar with you guys, but we're playing 2 copies of World Legacy Ponds and Sorrow, and we're also playing 3 copies here of Mind Meld. This hasn't changed whatsoever from the previous build, which I did a while back. This one it fits with the deck. I mean, this is kind of like that skeleton kind of trap lineup, and it's hard to really alter it in any kind of way. Mind Meld is just incredibly amazing. Just being able to switch your opponent's monster effects so that they don't actually deal with your tarot tray is really amazing. With the World Legacy Sorrow, it's still viable in the deck, because with tarot tray actually being a card that's in the deck itself, since you're more efficient, you could actually get your searches off a lot better, a lot more easy, and not to mention tarot tray also special summons the extra copy from the graveyard during the end phase, allowing you to kind of get additional copies to link summon. Alright, so onto the extra deck. We're playing 2 copies here of Quelaag, we're playing 2 copies of Synaphysis, and we're playing 2 copies here of Norogos. Definitely just the main cards. I'm not going to increase the copies, it's just not a smart move because you're wasting space. Fiendus, still a great card, I guess. Comes up a bit more often in this particular variant, simply because you're able to bring out monsters a lot more often. Papillon, again, another really fun card to go for. Not something I really go for, but I like having the option of it. Same thing applies for Trigate Wizard. They both make this nice dynamic duo of Link 3s in the deck. For the Link 4s, because we're doing a bit of co-linking here, I thought Nightmare Griffin might be a really nice card to go with, and also an Unchained Abomination. You could go with any Link 4s of your preference, but for this particular scenario, I wanted to go with these guys because I just thought they would be really fun. For Link 2s, we're going with the Akashic Magician and the Mrs. Radiant. Still really great Link 2s to get yourself a good start with, and yeah, Akashic Magician, her bounce effect is definitely really nice. I really do love her effect there. And finally, to round off the extra deck, we're playing the Phoenix and the Cerberus, just great utility cards to help out the deck. However, I'm not going to delve any further into the actual extra deck itself, simply because it's more so a toolbox than anything. The whole deck will revolve around the actual main deck itself. So I hope you guys actually enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, it really does help. Share this video for anyone who might be interested, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.